always been Raider Nation.
Well, the Raiders called Los Angeles home for 13 years, including that Super Bowl season in 1983. And today they return to the Coliseum for the first time in nearly a quarter century, joined by Raider Nation as they meet the Rams in the preseason before hosting LA in week 1 of the regular season. It's the Raiders and the Rams from the Coliseum. I'm Beth Mowins, along with Rich Gannon and Matt Millen, who suited up for the silver and black on days of yore here in L.A. Well, today the story when we talk to the coaches, Rich, it's going to be all about position battles. They're happening all over the field, including at quarterback. Who will be QB2 behind Derek Carr?
And I can promise you that this coaching staff, Beth, they haven't made up their mind yet whether it's going to be Connor Cook or E.J. Manuel. I think that tells you a little something about how stiff this competition is. I really felt like Connor Cook looked sharp last week against the Lions. He made a couple really nice throws on the move, some scramble throws, some non-rhythm throws, and they need to see more of that from him today against this Rams defense. And for E.J. Manuel, you know, he was in there when they were running the football. That was the emphasis last week. They had a fumbled exchange, and that really kind of hurt his series there. But they're going to go back and forth between both quarterbacks today, so a great opportunity for them. As for the running game, I think this coaching staff is really excited about this undrafted rookie out of Texas, Chris Warren. He is big, he's strong, he's physical. He averaged almost 7 yards a carry. And Matt, this guy looks like the real deal. I mean, this is a guy that can really help them this year, Beth.
Yep, really looks strong in his first preseason game. We're going to see more of Chris today. The big news probably for Raider Nation, Matt, is finally it looks like they're going to get a glimpse for the first time in a year of Garyon Conley. He's back today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what Garyon Conley possesses is a great skill set. And so if you watch him, he has all the requisite things you're looking for. He's got great speed. He can break on the ball. He can see things. He has great range. The one piece of his game you'd like to see is the tackling end of it. And that really comes down to 1-2. I mean, and so he's got to show that piece. You'd like to see that. And then here's another piece. This Raider defense, they drafted exceptionally well, particularly in the defensive line this year. Arden Key is the third of the three that have really played. You saw Maurice Hurst last week and P.J. Hall. Arden Key's got feel. He's one of those guys that when you turn him loose, he's got what it takes, and all he really needs is going to need some experience.
Getting set for the Raiders and the Rams. They're dear old family friends. They're on opposite sidelines today, John Gruden and Sean McVay, as we get set for opening kickoff as the Raiders return to L.A. John Gruden leading the charge out of the tunnel for the Oakland Raiders on their return to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to meet the Rams. Let's head down to the field now. JT the Brick.
Thank you, Beth. I talked to John Gruden before the game, and even though several starters won't play tonight, the competition will be fierce. 20 jobs are up for grabs. He expects these guys to play and fly around the field. And once again, a Raider road game, which turns out to be a Raider home game. Los Angeles is ready. The Raider Nation is back in L.A. Back to you.
Well, JT, just one glance around the stands here at the Coliseum. Plenty of silver and black in attendance as the Raiders are back in the Coliseum for the first time since the close of the 1994 season and the return to Oakland. And Raider Nation making its presence felt. What are you guys most interested in on a day like today where we probably won't see a lot of the first teamers, but there's a lot at stake for guys when we talk about there's jobs on the line and careers here.
Beth, I'm blown away when you consider a 53-man roster and there's 20 of these opportunities, these jobs up for grabs. I think it just tells you how competitive this training camp has been, Matt. And, you know, young players have an opportunity to get extended playing time today against the Rams because a lot of the starters aren't going to play.
Yeah, for me, I just think there's great opportunity here for these young guys. There's some free agents here that are in the mix too. And so for the Raiders, I think they drafted exceptionally well. I think this is going to turn out to be a great draft class. And I'm excited about some of the, like a guy like Jason Committa. We saw him a week ago, made a couple mistakes, but, you know, got back on the right track. And so it's interesting to see, you know, here's their opportunity. This is going to be a very vanilla game, very straightforward, like I'm better than you or you're better than me. So it'll be an interesting one to look at.
Eyes on a lot of 1v1 matchups, and can you win those battles? When we talked to John Gruden and the rest of the coordinators last night, Ryan Switzer is in the end zone set to receive for the Raiders, and he'll take a knee. And it is not the first unit on the offensive line. Of course, the other big news this week was the return to practice of Donald Penn. It looks like they're going to try him at right tackle initially, but we're going to see some of the backups in front of Connor Cook to get this thing started. We anticipate both Cook and E.J. Manuel to get snaps here in the first half.
And that's not easy going back and forth. You know, my preference would be to play the first half.
Agreed.
But John wants to see how they do. They're going to get a couple series each, and I think that really makes you stay in the game, stay involved, and see how you respond to a sudden change.
Chris Warren is the offset back. He had a good start against Detroit, and a miscue on the snap, and Connor Cook will just fall on it back at the 15-yard line. A loss of 5.
Geez, you're almost a loss of 10 right there. You can see Parker, Kirkland, Feliciano, Bougie, and Silverman. Not one of them one of the regular starting offensive linemen. As you see Whalen, Aitman, Holton, Butler, and Jalen Richard there, the running back. So you got 2nd and 20, not a good place to be in it, or nor a good start for the Silver and Black.
After the loss of 10. Cook will drop it off to Chris Warren. And Warren, look at him muscling his way back out across the 20, carrying Blake Countess with him. As we check out the Rams defensive unit, they won't have most of their regulars. They made some big offseason moves, bringing in Ndamukong Suh. They hope to have him alongside Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers. Of course, Donald is still holding out. And they could end up with a terrific secondary. They bring in Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib in the offseason at the cornerback spots to join LaMarcus Joyner and John Johnson. We don't anticipate seeing a whole lot of them either.
We got a nice rookie there, John Franklin Myers out of Stephen F. Austin. He's down the bottom here, right in that 3rd and 13 mark. He's a defensive end.
On 3rd down, the tight end Paul Butler, who had a nice catch in the opening game against Detroit, and he'll get 8 yards back, but that's going to be shy of the first down marker. And the rookie punter Johnny Townsend will come on.
The bad snap really put them behind in the down and distance. But Matt, you talked about being very vanilla, and from an offensive perspective, I mean, limited motion, shifts, personnel groupings. They don't want to show a lot for week 1, you know, as they get ready to play the Rams. And so I think it's going to be, you know, not a lot of volume, but we're going to see what they can do against a handful of coverages as well.
Townsend's boot is a wobbler, and it will bounce down around the 35-yard line and quickly down there after a 35-yard punt. And it'll be our first look at this Raider defense facing Sean Mannion. Of course, Jared Goff, their first stringer, so the Rams are taking a look at who might be their QB2 as well this season.
Of course, Sean Mannion went to Oregon State, but he's a Bay Area guy. Yep.
Now in his 3rd year, has played in 7 games. Malcolm Brown is the tailback. And the rollout off a play action. Mannion throws it over the head of his intended receiver. Of course, on Monday Night Football, when they do visit the Bay Area to start the year, they'd have Todd Gurley in that backfield. And the new addition to their receiving corps, Brandon Cooks, who they brought in the offseason to join Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp.
Really an incredible season last year for the Rams. They go 11-5 in Sean McVay's first year. I thought Gurley had an incredible season. You know, you look at the growth and development at the quarterback position with Jared Goff. This is a good young football team that they've assembled here in Los Angeles.
Nice. Really well done. Did you watch that?
There's Conley, Matt Millen. There's Conley on the coverage.
And I was watching him the whole way. I was just kind of watching his footwork and seeing how his hands were, just see what he's going to be. He's down here at the bottom, and his eyes are right. His hands were good. I mean, when you look at him skill-wise, Rich, he's everything you want in a corner.
And, you know, Al Davis used to love those corners, Matt, with long arms, right? Guys, and guys that can transition and guys that can play man-to-man coverage, and he can do those things for the Raiders.
Number 99, Arden Key, is also in there. He's got a hand down on the right side of that D-line. The big rookie out of LSU, who the Raiders think can be an absolute monster for them. They'll drop it off into the flat, and the Rams will get it back out to about the 38-yard line. Nicholas Morrow on the tackle after a 5-yard game, and the Raider defense will force the punt.
Yeah, good fundamental defense. That's what you're looking for. And so you're looking for good zone drops there. And look, you're going to get a completion. Let them get it underneath. We'll come up and make the play. That's what they do. And force them 3 and out. That's a nice series.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot from the defense either. I talked to Paul Gunther before the game. He said we're going to play a handful of fronts and coverages, and it's a chance for us to evaluate our players in a very limited scheme, but still get a chance to see them play a lot of man-to-man today.
Johnny Hecker with the high punt, Switzer with the fair catch, and he fields it at the 23-yard line. A 38-yard punt there by Hecker. Defenses win the first matchups as the Raider offense is set to go back to work here in Los Angeles, California. 17 years in the NFL for Greg Olsen. Last year was here in LA with the Rams as the quarterback coach for Jared Goff, and now returning to Oakland for the 2nd time.
And he really broke Derek Carr in as a rookie. I think he's a terrific coach. He's a good teacher, good communicator. That quarterback room, guys, we've talked about this. You know, not just Greg Olsen. John Gruden's in that quarterback room, and obviously Brian Callahan, who's coached Matthew Stafford and Peyton Manning. This is a good group working with some young quarterbacks.
Connor Cook puts it into the belly of Chris Warren. Gains a couple up the middle. One
thing I really like about Greg Olsen, and I had him up in Detroit, is he's got good toughness. And it comes out of him. And let me tell you something, that makes a difference in that room. And I have been around, I've been around the league for a long time, and some of the toughest guys I've ever been around have been quarterbacks. They take a pounding. But it starts with that guy in the room.
And they make it tough on these players in practice so that they can go out and execute on game day.
Cook goes under center, dumps it off for Johnny Holton, and that was sniffed out by Bryce Hager, the backer. And a loss of a couple to set up a 3rd down and long.
There's an old Baylor player. They're trying to sneak him out in the flat. Hager's on top of his coverage, just sets up this 3rd down. It was interesting, you saw that picture of Greg Olsen on the sideline with that headset, that half a headset, and a lot of times people at home thinking, why do you always have half a headset? Because they want to be able to hear the call from upstairs, but also hear the quarterback out on the field.
One of the adjustments this Raider coaching staff had to make, in particular John Gruden, returning to the sideline for the first time in a decade. Cook stepping up in the pocket, slings it down the middle, incomplete, looking for Griff Whalen, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, but really nice management of the pocket. Really, I'd like to see that be a completion, Rich, but I mean, he handled the pocket exceptionally well.
Yeah, they brought some internal pressure. He did a nice job stepping up, just not able to make the throw and catch. But, I just think that the way these quarterbacks are being coached, a little different than in years past. I mean, Greg Olsen, very demanding. John Gruden can get on these guys, and they coach them tough. They're hard on them. And I think when you get out there on game days, I don't want to say it's easy, but you know what pressure's like. And that's what they're expecting. And that's really where you get the consistency out of that position.
JoJo Matson on the move and then decides to get away from it. The Raiders will down it inside the 40. Back-to-back 3 and outs here for the Raiders after the 40-yard punt. How about a silver and black throwback to Marcus Allen?
Probably the greatest run in Super Bowl history. Would you think, Matt? I mean, it's certainly got to be up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the top. You see Cliff Branch come out of nowhere and try to knock him off. And let me tell you something. Everybody, when they look at Marcus Allen and say, hey, he's not that fast until you had to try to catch him. He's not that strong until you had to try to block him or tackle him. He's one of my favorite players. That was one tough, smart player.
One of 3 Raiders Super Bowl seasons. That one coming here in Los Angeles. The other 2 up in Oakland. And for the Raiders from 1982 to 1994 at the LA Memorial Coliseum. 7 playoff years here, and Matt, you had a chance to play here.
Yeah, it was a great time to be a Los Angeles Raider or a Raider period. But yeah, we were cooking on all cylinders there. And actually, our best team didn't win the Super Bowl.
Which one was that?
Well, there were 2 of them. 82.
Best teams.
82 and 85. They were great football teams, and we just found a way to mess it up. Good defense again. I'll tell you, the guy who I liked last week has been Nick Morrow, number 50. So Nicholas Morrow's a guy who's, you know, he understands the scheme. Look, you see this nice patience as a backer. Don't overflow. Let things develop in front of you, and then when the opportunity presents itself, go make the play. He's been on 3 or 4 tackles already in, you know, only 8 plays. So he's that's what he's supposed to do.
Here we go now with the Raiders up front. All 3 new guys, Hurst, Hall, and Key together on the front line. Trying to get after Mannion, who gets the pass away. Incomplete. It was Rashawn Melvin with the breakup.
Good coverage, good pressure, good defense. Second series, 3 and out, Rich. That's what you want.
And I love the fact, Matt, that we're seeing a ton of man-to-man coverage early. I mean, I think Paul Gunther wants to find out which of these corners can play. Can play inside, can play outside, can press, can use their hands. And I think that's going to be important. I think you're going to see a little bit more man-to-man coverage this year from this Raider defense.
That's what we used to do all the time. We played man constantly. We had Judge Hayes on the outside, Mike Haynes.
Switzer. Nice dummy on the punt right there to make it look like he was going to catch it at the 10, and it goes over his head for the touchback. As Hecker boots it 57 yards. 3 and outs, the story so far. Scoreless in L.A. 75 in silver and black. That's the rookie from North Carolina A&T, Brandon Parker, now up front.
Yeah, played all 4 seasons, started all 48 games at left tackle, never missed a start, and didn't surrender a single sack for his entire collegiate career. I'm really looking forward to seeing Brandon Parker. He did not play last week against the Lions.
Young man's a winner, a couple of national championships, historically black college. And a couple of times the MEAC O-Lineman of the Year. Warren nowhere to go, and a flag is down.
One thing with Chris Warren is he's not going to be that stop-start back.
Holding. Offense, number 81. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's Pharaoh Brown, the tight end. You were saying, Matt, not going to be the stop and start guy?
Yeah, he's not that guy. He's a straight ahead guy. He might be a one-cut guy and then downhill. And he's got to, so at the point of attack is going to be real important with this Raider offensive line coming off the ball and not necessarily getting movement, but occupying people so they can't get off the block.
He's going to run through a lot of arm tackles.
You better believe that. Yep.
Now it's another early setback, though, for the Raiders. They've also had a bad snap for a loss of 10 yards. Now the penalty has him back inside the 10-yard line. Ball is up. Incomplete. Looking for Keon Hatcher. Connor Cook starting out 3 for 5, 13 yards so far.
He's trying to find a rhythm with the quarterback, get him off to a good start, high completion throws. And the good thing about John Gruden as a play caller, he's always done a nice job of tailoring his plan, even though it's a limited plan today, to the particular skill set of the quarterback. I mean, he'll do some different things with E.J. Manuel that maybe he wouldn't do with Connor Cook. So I think that's, if you're a good play caller, it's not necessarily about your system, it's about putting your players in a position to succeed.
Warren out to the 15.
Yeah,
some of it back.
Doing what they like to do, or what they're capable of doing. That's always been one of those things that you do. What are you asking the guy to do that? You can't do that. Why ask him to do it? And so, yeah, that's good coaching when you get that.
And I've been with some play callers that are stubborn, that say, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And I said, well, that's maybe not what I do well. And that was the one thing when I came here to Oakland to play with the Raiders in '99, that was the thing that John said. We're going to put together a plan where you're comfortable that you can succeed, have some success.
Screen for Jalen Richard. Got close to the original line of scrimmage. They're going to have to kick it again. That, by the way, that did work out pretty well for you and the Raiders. An MVP as well as a trip to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and you know, we had some unfinished business. But look, the guy's back. He's as motivated as ever. He's putting together a good football team with Reggie McKenzie. And I think things, to me anyway, just from being out in the practice field with both of you last week, it just looks and it feels different.
Feels right.
And I like that.
Yep.
That's a good one.
They went from a 12-win team to a sub-500 team last year, and that precipitated the change to John Gruden. as well as turning over half of the roster. A lot of veterans in camp, and a lot of guys today fighting for jobs for the regular season. Well, Garyon Conley won a national championship at Ohio State before the Raiders made them their first-round pick last year. But he's had some injury issues that he's been trying to fight through. Only played in a couple of games last year and has had to deal with a shin injury, a groin injury, and so far in this preseason, a hip strain. But he's back a little sooner than expected and getting his first action here today. Down at the bottom of your screen, little press coverage, and they'll run it with Malcolm Brown. He'll pick up 3 or 4 up the middle. Morrow had the tackle.
Sometimes less is more. Less game plan. Let's not have 30 coverages and 16 pressures. And I think you're going to see as Matt said, very vanilla front and coverages. But we're going to find out about these players. Let them, not a lot of thinking, just go out, cover, react, rush. We're going to see a lot of one-on-one matchups with the pass rush and the corners, and I think that's going to be good to see how they match up against some these receivers from the Rams that can really get up and go.
Play action, across the middle for a first down, out close to midfield, Mike Thomas. Against which, by the way, could be the starting secondary on opening day for the Raiders out there right now.
Well, the first thing you see, he's got time to throw. And Rashaan Melvin on the outside, he kind of bit on an outside move and opened up that inside. The safety sitting right there, but a little on the deep side, which he has to.
Pickup of 17 on the pass play. Back to Brown, tries to skip to the outside, breaks a tackle down to the Raiders' 45-yard line, and a gain of 6.
All right, this is where, right here, now somebody's got to make a play. 2nd and 6, the table, the coins have been, more money's been moved over to the offensive side of the ball. Somebody's got to make a play here to set up the 3rd and get it to 3rd manageable defensively, which is like 3rd and 5+.
Mario Edwards is in the middle of that Raider defense, along with Trayvon Hester. The run is to the outside. Markel Lee had a shot at him and runs him out of bounds, but it looks like it's first down yardage.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a shot of it, but Morrow got blocked from the outside in, and you got to keep your head on a swivel. And so you've got to watch 50. See that? You can't be blindsided like that. You have to know where people are inside. As soon as there's any kind of outside read, your eyes got to come right outside, and you have to attack the attacker. You can't get blocked like that.
Defensive coordinator Paul Gunther, tremendous success in recent years at Cincinnati before joining the Raiders staff. A little shake and bake move from Brown, and then wrapped up low by Markel Lee, who was the starting linebacker for the first 5 games last year, then replaced by Navarro Bowman. And certainly so far in camp, guys, it looks like Markel is the front runner right now to get back in there.
Yeah, I think there's real competition. You look at this defense, all 3 levels. We talked about the defensive line. That linebacking position, we've got some veteran players, obviously, but I think to me the linebackers and the corners, that's the group that I think it's going to be interesting here the next couple weeks.
Derek Johnson is the big free agent for Kansas City they brought in at that middle backer position. Sharice Wright with the open field tackle of Cooper.
Man, now they'll go to a pass rush set. Here comes Vincent. P.J. Hall comes in, and you get a couple of rushes. Arden Key comes in. But on the previous play to this, you saw Garyon Conley. You said he got a little faked out, but he still did his job. Yep. If you're going to miss to your friends. So he made a miss. He missed outside, and the guy had to cut back inside, and that's where your help is coming from.
Always important to know where your help is. Yep.
Mannion on 3rd down, and he'll move the chains again. Finding one of his tight ends, Johnny Munt, for a gain of 8.
You give any quarterback in this league that much time, he's going to find an open receiver. And he does a good job sliding around a little bit, buying some extra time, stepping up and finding the tight end across the field. Good route by the tight end as well. I mean, that's a tough route to cover if you're a safety.
Yeah, it is, but he could help himself if his eyes are on the man instead of in the backfield.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on your work, right, Matt?
Yeah, Carl Joseph, and he knows that. So, but, you know, little habits, that's what happens.
Now in his 3rd year out of West Virginia, Joseph, 15 starts a year ago, had 1 interception. Short yardage on the carry by Brown. Nicholas Morrow again with his nose around the football defensively.
Maurice Hurst right there in the middle of that as well. It's a good group. Morrow's off to a good start.
Yeah. You could go all free agents in those 3 linebacker spots with Lemur, Johnson, and Whitehead, but you have Lee and Morrow and Shalik Calhoun, who have been around in the system a couple of years.
Walk the backer out. No back set.
4-man pressure. Mannion.
Good
And is shook loose by Nick Nelson, the rookie out of Wisconsin.
And Nick Nelson made a bunch of plays last week against the Lions. Every time you got a 3rd down situation, he seemed to be around the football. This is a nice job getting the left arm in there and ripping it away from the receiver. 3-year starter.
He's a good little player. That kid, right now, I think he's playing as good as anybody in that secondary. He's always around the football. He's got good instincts. You'd want him to be a little faster, but, you know, all he has to do is run as fast as the guy across from him.
Yep. And I like the fact that when he gets up here, he can be physical at the line of scrimmage. Does a good job using his hands.
Nice. Well done.
That was Sharice Wright getting to Pharaoh Cooper and forcing the field goal unit to come on for the Rams. A loss of 6 as the Raiders stop the drive on the 10th play of that drive for the Rams.
Yeah, he just does that Johnny Munt 82. That was what you'd call in regular verbiage pathetic.
That was a bad effort, wasn't it? He didn't seem too interested in that to go in there and get his nose dirty.
48-yard attempt, Greg Zuerlein, and it is no good. He pushed it. Raider Nation out in force here in LA applauds that. And the stop by the Raider D.
They talked to me about it, about trying it out, seeing what it would do, seeing how I feel over there, and I told them, you know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to, you know, help this team win, but I need time to develop. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or not yet, but it is something we're testing out, and I told them, you know, I'm all for it.
Well, Donald Penn coming off the PUP list and returning to practice this week. It's David Sharp out there right now at right tackle, the 2nd-year man out of Florida, but Penn reworked his contract. He's been all through camp really a great mentor to a lot of the younger guys, and in particular Colton Miller, who it looks like the rookie from UCLA will take over at left tackle, at least for the time being. As we move closer to the start of the regular season, it's back to Connor Cook at quarterback, incomplete, looking for Ryan Switzer out of the slot. It has not been the best of starts for the Raiders offensively. 10 plays now, just 26 total yards, and their next first down will be their first down.
Well, they're having a difficult time getting going, and you know, that's part of the issue right now. They're not winning against man-to-man coverage. Something's got to win. Both teams playing a lot of man-to-man coverage.
Yeah, they had a bad snap of the first one, and in the second series they had another. They started with a loss.
Yeah, the holding penalty. Cook hit at the line of scrimmage. Is it a forward pass? No whistle. The Rams come up with it.
That didn't look like a forward pass. His arm was going forward. Looked like it was batted down.
Justin Lawler with the tip. Ramik Wilson scooped up the fumble. The Rams say they got it and they're going to keep it.
Watch Parker, 75, right there. See, he's tall, so he's got to get down low. Now the arm goes forward.
Oh yeah, that's incomplete.
Yeah.
A lot of times the officials, when they're not sure, they just let the play out. They can get it cleaned up. And it's clearly that ball slips out of his hands as it's moving forward. That should be an incomplete pass.
The officials are looking over to the replay guys standing on the sideline to see if they need to come over and look at the instant replay tablet.
They're going to let it go. He got a thumbs up.
I'm going to say it slipped out of his hands.
Yeah.
So a fumble
was knocked out.
Connor Cook trying to cash in the red zone turnover here. Mannion hands it off, the run right up the middle. John Kelly, they've got position battles going on right now as the #2 quarterback and the #2 running back behind Goff and Gurley.
And anytime you get a situation like this, a sudden change in possession, defensively, all you're hoping for here is a stop and hold them to a field goal. I mean, that'd be a win right now for the Raiders after that turnover by Connor Cook.
They're going to let the final seconds run off the end of the first quarter, and they'll head down to the other end. The Raiders defense trying to remain stout, with the Rams down at the 12-yard line, trying to cash in the turnover. John Gruden's back with the Raiders, and the franchise returns to LA to face the Rams, scoreless through 1.
We're back on the Raiders Broadcasting Network. No score at the Coliseum. I have Raiders Hall of Fame legend Mike Haynes with me. Mike, good to see you back for a Raider game at the Coliseum. How much fun you having?
Oh, so far good, but the Rams they may get a field goal out of this at least. So I don't know how this is all going to end up, but it's being back in the Coliseum is great, and seeing the silver and black is funny. This is LA. But you can't tell by looking in the stands. It looks like it's still Raider homeland.
It's great to see Gary and Conley out there. That's the play of the secondary early.
Well, I think the secondary is playing really good. Defense is, getting after these guys, and guys are coming up with plays. Just one big catch in this, to get a first down. Besides that, everything's perfect.
Your former teammate, Matt Millen's up in the booth. Matt?
Hey, Matt.
It's my guy, Michael. How are you, Michael?
I'm good. Watching the footwork down here.
Yeah, you always did. You always judged your corner by how well his feet played, and yours were awesome. So, what'd you think of Conley?
I think the guy's a player. So, I'm glad he's back, and, hopefully he's getting better every play, every game. I hope he has a great year.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's the tackling part of it is what we have to be able to straighten out, because you're in the Hall of Fame for a reason, and when you think about corners, you think about covering, but you would tackle anybody, and that's the piece that I'd like to see happen down here.
Well, I like to see it too. Sometimes you get guys that love to do it and want to do it. Sometimes you don't, but when they cover, we know a couple of guys that will say, hey, they pay me to cover. They don't pay me to make tackles.
That's code, and we'll leave it alone.
All right.
That's great to see you, Michael.
Likewise, man.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, guys.
Raider great Mike Haynes down on the sideline with JT. First and goal now for the Rams.
And Mike Haynes was one of those corners as a quarterback that you just worked away from.
They're first.
You know what I mean? If all things being equal, you'd say, well, let's just work away from Mike Haynes. It just makes too much sense.
I used to say, they always talk about Deion Sanders, about being a standard and all this. Mike Haynes was a standard for me. And Deion's a phenomenal player. But Mike Haynes, when he came to 83, he just changed our whole team. He was a phenomenal player. He's an even better person. And he's on and off the field. You don't get any better than that. That's what a Hall of Fame player should be.
And you don't realize until you see him in street clothes how big of a man he is.
Man.
I mean, he's got long arms, he's a long strider, and he had great recovery skills. I remember that. If someone did get by him, he could close the gap pretty quick.
Yeah, we called them high pockets.
High pockets.
I don't know if you could see him. He got the longest legs going.
Rams are trying to run it up the middle and nothing doing. A lot of silver and black around. Second down coming up. Trayvon Hester down at the bottom of the pack. He's one of the guys that Gruden singled out, and Paul Gunther saying, hey, we are looking at these guys, the depth we're going to have up front. Who's going to be making plays today between Hester and Edwards? Tank Carradine. Frosty Rucker made some nice plays last week for the Raiders in the middle.
Get off the ball low. Low man wins.
They'll try running it up the gut again. And they're going to be a little bit short. Third and goal.
Good penetration off that left side of that defensive line, and so important down in this part of the field, penetration. And Matt, you talked about pad level, how important that is.
I think that was 90 Hester that was the low man. Kept him away from the goal line. 4 tight
DJ
ends.
Hall was the one that you saw get off the ball really well. Let's see. You got to stay low here. Low man wing. Here we go. Get him in.
Mannion on the rollout. Pursuit is there for the Raiders, and they're going to stop him short.
Good defense. Good coverage in the back end. They tried that little waggle, try to sneak him out in the flat. They jumped their coverage. And then they also had somebody be able to handle the quarterback.
Well, they weren't fooled. You know, this is the under route. You see the tight end. They tried to fake him with the dive to the left, but just as you mentioned, Matt, good recognition and good pursuit by that Raiders defense. And a nice hit here.
Yes, he does.
That's Tank Carradine, the first guy out there to make Mannion turn back, and Markel Lee let him know he was there. The Rams are going to go for it on 4th and goal.
Put your hands on people down here.
The give is to Kelly, and he is in the ball. Squirts loose. And the signal is touchdown Rams. They're going to say he broke the plane. Antonio Hamilton is the guy that punched it out.
Ooh, that's a fumble.
That looks like it's out.
But he gets it.
No, but he was able to recover it. Yep.
Got it.
Good stick, though.
Nice by Harris right there.
Yep.
I could have had a better
That
shot
is
right there.
definitely out. Yep. Hamilton. But then John Kelly, the presence to reel it back in. So the Rams able to score off of the turnover. 6 plays, 15 yards in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's really well done by Harris, the safety. He spills it out to the guy who's not blockable. And so he's got to make the play. Hamilton comes up and just made the tackle, but not where it should have been.
Zerline's extra point is good. And the Rams leading the Raiders. And I think we might see a little E.J. Manuel at quarterback when we return to the Coliseum.
He knows people. He's a great people person. And at the same time, he's a football coach. He's demanding. He's intense. He loves the game. He's passionate. But he loves his players, too. He loves his players. He loves his coaches. And he makes sure we know. You know, maybe he yells more than other coaches. Maybe he does. But we know that when he gets on us, he just wants the best for us.
In the words of Pro Bowl quarterback Derek Carr, who is now playing for his 4th head coach in his 5-year career, and you can sense the chemistry and the camaraderie amongst all the quarterbacks. And you can, of course, Rich, speak to how hard he can be on his QBs, but how helpful he can be as well.
But really, would you want it any other way? No. You know, I want to be coached hard. I want feedback. I want constructive criticism. And I just think that the players, particularly these quarterbacks, are understanding John Gruden's style and his intensity. And talking to E.J. Manuel last night, and Connor Cook, that's one of the things they talked about. You know, he's an excellent teacher. His energy is off the charts. I mean, Derek Carr is all in, and I think it's rubbed off on the entire team. When you watch him practice, you watch him get after one another, you watch him compete, that's what John's about. He wants to create that environment every single day these players step in the building.
Yeah, they bought in. That's a big deal.
E.J. Manuel is now in at quarterback. The Raiders so far without a first down, 11 plays for a net of 19 yards. So they're looking for a little bounce right here.
It's not been a good start, but this guy can be a tone setter for this football team. I really believe that. I mean, he has the ability to knock you backwards, and I just think he's one of those. He's a throwback, Matt. To me, when I look at him, he reminds me of one of those, the guys that get stronger as the game goes on. That they get better with more touches, and he is that type of back.
Riggins was like that. He was a beast.
He's the deep man in the eye behind the block of Ryan Juracek, and a flag down as Warren was able to pick up the first down.
That'll be a hold.
Holding offense number 81. 10-yard penalty remains Second down.
2 holding penalties, and Farrell Brown has them both.
Not good.
No, and he's at the point of attack, and you got to make sure you keep those hands in. And
the top 3 tight ends are out today. Jared Cook, Lee Smith, Derek Carrier. You got to figure those 3 are locks for the roster, but not sure how many more tight ends they'll choose to keep. Amongst Brown, Baugh, and Butler. Manuel's first toss is completed to Jalen Richard, making people miss for the first down across midfield.
That's a good hustle play there.
29 yards on that hookup.
Bryce Hager comes from the inside out and doesn't give up on it. This is a nice job. First of all, protection. And then you're going to watch the route underneath. So they're going to clear it down the field, and then he's going to come from inside out.
You don't get this wide open, though, man. I mean, literally, that's an unusual formation. They call that red right. You've got 2 backs in the backfield. You don't see a lot of that anymore. But we talked to John Gruden last night. He said he's going to pull out some old school things today against this Rams defense.
He was so excited that you, Rich, were going to see red right again. Manuel trying to go over the top. Oh, it was through his hands and he couldn't hold on. The Raiders, though, may benefit from pass interference right here.
Marcus Baugh had a chance, though. You got to make that catch. That's an excellent throw.
There is no foul on the play for pass interference. Second down.
Well, you're right, Matt. That was a really good throw by E.J. Manuel. He puts a little air on it. He knows he's got man-to-man coverage on the seam route. Just drops this one in over the top, and that's a catch you have to make if you're a tight end in this offense. Yeah, that's.
Was there enough there for the flag to stand?
They could have. He had his hand on his arm a little bit as well. Not tracking the ball.
You see EJ change the play here. And again, they told us last night, a very limited audible package as well, as they don't want to show the Rams too much on offense.
Warren wrapped up by Hager in the backfield. Of course, these 2 teams will square off to start the regular season. So it's probably been an interesting build-up to this game, because you're putting in things that you may not use the rest of the year. You don't want to show the Rams anything.
It's awkward, and it's an awkward situation. I mean, really for both coaching staffs. And I wouldn't be surprised if John Gruden and Sean McVay talked this week about, hey, look, let's be smart about this. We've got to play in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to play a lot of my starters. I don't anticipate you're going to play a lot of yours. And there's a mutual cooperation. They want to get out of this healthy and ready for week 1.
Longtime family friends. Their fathers were friends. John Gruden gave Sean McVay his first coaching job in Tampa Bay in 2002. Baugh fights for an extra yard or 2, but that will still be well shy of the marker, and the punter Johnny Townsend having a busy first half.
How about that last night? He said he didn't have a position on his staff when Sean McVay came out of college, and so he said he created one. He was in the secretarial side of the building, and then eventually he said he was out in the practice field coaching the receivers. So it didn't take Sean McVay very long to figure things out, and of course, Sean wound up with John's younger brother Jay in Washington before taking the job with the Rams.
Good lesson, regardless of the field you choose to pursue. Just get your foot in the door and then start bugging people to let you do what you want to do. And McVay, the Coach of the Year last season in the NFL. A 7-0 lead right now for the Rams, the mentee over the mentor. Of self-proclaimed old souls chatting on that Raiders sideline, John Gruden and Derek Carr, and certainly Raider Nation hoping that this combination can get Carr's numbers and success back to where it was a couple of years ago when the Raiders made it to the playoffs.
I don't think that there's any question that'll happen. They've quickly formed a bond, that they're on the same page. And the way you get on the same page is by constantly having dialogue, communication, conversations. And we've seen that throughout training camp with John Gruden and Derek Carr.
We run up the middle with John Kelly. P.J. Hall corralled him, so we're getting more opportunities to see Hall and Hurst and Arden Key for the first time today.
We were at dinner last night. Beth and I called P.J. Hall's defensive coordinator at Sam Houston State, a good buddy of mine, Clayton Carlin, and I asked him about P.J. Hall. He said he had the quickest first step he's ever seen. great power and strength, and he really dominated the competition at that level. He was a man among boys, and talking to the coaching staff last night, Paul Gunther said he reminds him a little bit of Geno Atkins, who was the the Pro Bowl defensive tackle for the Bengals. Powerful man, hard to move off the ball.
Well, I'm watching here just at the line of scrimmage, and almost every play, there's one guy who moves backwards, and that's the guy who's across from P.J. Hall. So P.J. gets off the ball. Like you said, his first 2 steps are they're remarkable. And so he gets off the ball, and he strikes, and that's what you do. So you shock him and then redirect, and that's what he does exceptionally well.
Well, Matt, you can speak to the added weight he carries around, that massive chip on his shoulder. There's a guy that was not even invited to work out at the Combine. He had to work out on his own and put up some pro day numbers that were comparable to Atkins and Ndamukong Suh. And he came out almost picked off on the back end, and a flag flies, and this may be against Carl Joseph, who had the coverage.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to call interference. I don't know about this one.
I was busy watching P.J. Hall. I just
see what I mean. He comes first guy off the ball.
There is no foul on the play for defensive pass interference. 4th down.
So that's twice today they've yanked a flag for PI.
Just watch this. I mean, he's going to be a handful for any guard or tackle in this league. And Beth, you mentioned didn't have a invitation to the Combine, but his pro day was heavily attended. In fact, I talked to my buddy down there at Sam Houston State, and he said that Dan Quinn was there, the general manager Thomas DeMitchell. Atlanta really liked him coming out in the draft.
The word Paul Gunther used to describe him was sudden, as in all of the sudden he is by you. 45 yards on that punt, or through you. Either way, works for PJ. Raiders offense coming back out, looking for some points here in the first half. 7-0, the Rams over the Raiders here at the Coliseum. Well, you can experience a Raiders home game in a private suite that accommodates anywhere from 12 to 60 people. It's available on an annual and single game basis this season. The Raiders suite options are a great way to entertain and have fun with family and friends. Inventory's limited, so call today, 510-864-5022, and make some lifelong memories in a Raiders suite. Could start on Monday Night Football when these two meet again, week 1 of the season. The completion manual to Johnny Holton, the guy who's fighting for a wide receiver spot. That could be a very deep group this year. There was a big draft class in the offseason, 9 guys added, and we're already seeing the possibility of at least 7 of those guys making the roster and making contributions.
And Beth, one of the things that Matt and I were talking about during the break is the one common theme when you look at that class is these players played a lot of football. They appeared in a lot of games. They weren't just 1 or 2 year starters. These guys played 3 or 4 years, so they have experience. They come from really solid programs, and for the most part, these are guys that love football, love competing, and I think are going to fit in very nicely with the silver and black.
That second piece you just said, Rich, I think that's a huge one. They love the game. And so a lot of guys, everybody plays for different reasons. But when you play because you love competing, you got a chance to be, exceptional. And I think this has a chance to be an exceptional draft class. There's some really good players in here.
And Coach Gruden's not afraid to play him. They're going to play him early and often. Colton Miller is going to be the starter at left tackle. I'm almost certain of that.
Catches made around the 39 by Paul Butler, one of the undrafted free agents for the Raiders.
That does you no good. He's got to know where that first down marker is.
Got to get your depth. Yeah. You talk about understanding situational football. And that's a challenge for both E.J. Manuel and Connor Cook. You've got some young players, and make sure they know what they're doing and how to execute in a critical situation on 3rd down.
They're not afraid to take a chance, by the way, on the special teamers, too. And here is one of those draft picks. Johnny Townsend, the 5th round. Big things expected for the Raiders. He's had a good camp so far. Eddie Pinheiro, their rookie kicker, is not here today. Mike Nugent will handle the duties, but it's possible they could have 2 rookie kickers this year. And Townsend and Pinheiro, a 46-yard punt right there for Johnny. One of the challenges, and you guys both know, they broke camp this week, and so one of the things Gruden was looking for, especially out of these younger guys, okay, how do you handle yourselves now that the real world and real life is back? You're not just sitting around camp anymore.
That's a big deal, and that goes back to, do you love the game? Because if you love the game, you're going to take care of yourself to play the game because it's important to you. Your job's important to you. It's not running the streets, and it's not for all the other crap that's out there. It's because you want to play the game and compete.
Mannion remains. Play action. He's looking for the deep ball. Picking on Nick Nelson again, and it's caught by Hodge. As he got over the top of Nelson.
Yeah, coverage wasn't bad. Nelson turned the wrong way. Hodge did a nice job of getting his body back. You're going to watch this at the end. You see how he turns his body. Nelson he goes the wrong way. He turns. Yeah, actually, he did. He turned the right way. He turned back inside.
He just never finds the ball. That's the problem.
Yep.
You know, he just didn't locate the ball early enough. That's the problem when you're in tight man-to-man coverage.
47 yards on the pass play and a first down for the Rams at the Raider 31. Mannion on the rollout to Hemingway, who's run out of bounds by Jason Cabinda. So there's another undrafted rookie out of Penn State, linebacker U.
Couple of last week I thought he played a solid game. You know, he ended up a couple of plays he'd like to have back because his angles are wrong, but smart kid. The thing you love about him is his leadership skills. When he gets in the huddle, I mean, he's in control.
He was a 3-year starter for some pretty good Penn State defenses. Mannion, the quick hitter to the outside, near the first down marker. Let's go down to the field and JT.
Thanks, Beth. We're talking to left guard Kelechi Osemele. You came into camp in the best shape of your career. What worked for you in the offseason?
Just changed up my diet entirely. Kind of put myself into ketosis. Was working with a few doctors to try to find the most efficient way to shred body fat. So that was a big part was my nutrition.
Talk about the transition now. John Gruden and especially Tom Cable on the offensive line as a coach.
It's been great, man. Tom Cable is a guy that's been doing it for a very long time. His attention to detail is phenomenal. And then with Gruden, just the terminology and all the code words and everything that we have going, it like kind of swirls around your head for a little bit. But then once you get a good handle on it, you can see how it can scare defenses, being able to go no huddle and put the pressure on guys and stuff like that. Them not really being able to get a beat on you. So it's been pretty good for us.
Former MVP Rich Gannon is in the booth. Rich?
Kelechi, just Derek Carr. I mean, you've been around some good players in your career, but what makes him so special at such a young age?
I think it's just his foundation, man. You know, he's a man of faith. He's a good husband, a good father, and when somebody's focused and locked in on like that, it just it transitions to every part of it, every aspect of his life as a leader. You know, he's a phenomenal leader. We get in there, we know he's prepared. You know, you want to fight for a guy like that, and I think that really does have a big deal when you're talking about a young player coming in the league and being able to handle all the pressure and all the distractions that come with being a professional football player.
KO, thank you very much. We appreciate the time and best of luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Kelechi Osemele, and what could be one of the top offensive lines in the NFL once again. Certainly those 3 guys in the middle, all pros, all of them. Osemele, Rodney Hudson, and Gabe Jackson. And right now, it would appear that it would be Colton Miller at left tackle and Donald Penn at right tackle.
And I think that the fact that you have the veteran players inside, Beth, is really going to help the development and the maturation of a guy like Colton Miller on the edge there on the left tackle position. He's having Kelechi Osemele inside. That doesn't hurt.
They ran for less than 100 yards a game last season, so that's been a focus as they prep for the season opener. The 42-yard field goal is good from Zerline, and that will make it 10-0 Rams over the Raiders. 2:05 to go here in the first half. A very steamy day in Los Angeles.
test your conditioning. You know, you talk about all the work you put in at the training camp, and some of these young players are going to play a lot of snaps here in this game, and you're going to find out what they're made of. Push yourself.
Yeah, which kind of takes me back to training camp.
A little different Matt, than when you and I were in training camp. You know what I mean?
Goodness, yeah.
I mean, you know, we got these walkthroughs with shorts and baseball caps on, and you know.
You missed school, entire school years for your kids in training camp, didn't you? Back in those days.
I would be 300 pounds in today's training camps. The way they feed you and the way they don't train you, it's unbelievable.
It's tough. It's tough with the new collective bargaining agreement and the rules and restrictions that are in place in terms of what you can and cannot do with the players. And there's been a discussion about, Beth, whether or not that leads to more injuries.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not putting the pads on and getting after it, hitting one another, then do you have more soft tissue injuries? You have more injuries in the beginning of the season. And I just think the quality of play sometimes in September is not where it needs to be, particularly the line play, Matt. You see that all the time.
Rich. Let's not be. You're being very generous in just saying September. Let's go into October and into November. Most of the time, you watch these teams in the offensive and defensive lines. Their pad levels are so high. I'm like, what is? Get down, man. Get your pad levels down. Low man wins is just basic fundamental football.
Manuel sacked. Down he goes, back inside the 20-yard line. John Franklin Myers got him.
That's that rookie. It's Stephen Austin. Not a bad player. They like him.
The 2-minute warning will end our curmudgeonly session up here in the booth, as we will move it forward when we come back. Back here at the LA Coliseum, and there are a couple of the new strength and conditioning coaching staff here with the Raiders, led by Tom Shaw, and then Kelsey Martinez, the first female assistant coach here for the Oakland Raiders. Of course, they're also joined by Deuce Gruden, John's son.
She's done a nice job.
Yeah.
The whole staff really has. They've got great respect for her and what she means to this operation.
Also, DeAnthony Batiste, a former player. Richard able to make the grab. Time running down here. Final 2 minutes of this first half, and the Raiders offense has had a rough time getting anything going today. Manuel almost got hauled down again.
You got a lot of different combinations playing up front too, and that has an effect on the continuity with the protection schemes.
Manuel, who fumbled last week, loses another one. The Rams have it. Bryce Hager with a flag down, and Manuel will come back to make the tackle.
And the hat thrown in, that means he threw his flag the first one, he's throwing his hat the second one.
Yeah, you hate to see the turnover there before the half. It's particularly coming out from your own end. And we had the fumble exchange last week with EJ, and in that situation, you got to be better. You cannot put the ball on the ground, and that's the first thing that John Gruden's going to tell him when he gets to the boundary.
There were 2 fouls on the play. Holding offense number 79. That penalty is declined. During the return, personal foul, blindside block against the return team number 41. 41, that penalty is accepted. 15 yards, first down Los Angeles.
Well, he's under duress, there's pressure. You see him step up, and now you just have to make sure you keep 2 hands on the football. That's careless. Poor ball carriage from E.J. Manuel, and it results in a turnover.
That was Ethan Westbrooks who knocked it loose, so both quarterbacks have lost the football here in the first half.
So the official was a little messed up with his call, so it's 1st and 10 for the Rams, not the Raiders.
And they're back at the 25.
Correct.
They've gotten some good field position off of the 2 Raider turnovers. They scored off the first one. They'll run it with John Kelly down inside the 20. Morrow slowed him down, and Tevin Mitchell finished him off.
Again, a sudden change, and all you're hoping for here is to be able to get up the field and hold them to a field goal.
Final minute of the first half.
The sloppy half of football offensively. You know, the penalties, the turnovers, the lack of execution on third down.
How about 0 for 6 on third down? Just the 1 first down the entire first half. Mannion looking for 6.
Oh, great pick.
Is it intercepted inbounds? Tevin Mitchell just out.
Good adjustment. Good adjustment there, though.
Very, very good adjustment.
Boy, I see that number 37, I get excited.
Judge Hayes.
Right?
The Honorable Judge Hayes.
I see number 37 in the silver and black, and I think of Lester Hayes.
Lester Hayes was drafted out of Texas A&M as playing a linebacker. And he thought he was going to be an outside linebacker and a safety. And Coach Madden said he lined up to be a linebacker.
They said no.
Coach Madden said, yeah, you're going to be out of the corner. And he goes, no, I play this.
Just couldn't get that right foot in.
Yeah. Coach Madden said, no, you didn't understand, Lester. You're playing corner. And he goes, no, but I'm going to play linebacker. And Judge, he said, let me explain this to you one more time.
Yeah.
You are now a corner. Go play.
Every time I think of Lester Hayes, I think of the Stickum. You know, him and Freddie Blitnikoff and those guys. But I mean, they used to have so much of that Stickum.
I think of what you were talking about, the low man wins in that crouch stance and the towel at the back of his pants would practically be dragging on the ground.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 95. That penalty is forced half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
That's on Fidel Brown.
We're playing Houston in the playoffs. Judge Hayes goes to the sideline and gets a big old hunk of Stickum, puts it on his hand, walks past the ball and wipes it on it and keeps on walking. And Carl Mock, the center, comes up to snap the ball and gets it all over his hands and starts screaming at the judge and then snaps the ball over the kicker's head. Well done.
Kelly trying to bounce to the outside. Hamilton slowing him down and chasing him out.
A lot of black jerseys. You want to see those backs go east and west, not north and south. Good pursuit, that Raider defense.
That was good there by Hamilton. So he got him going flat, and he kept him going flat. Wasn't able to turn the corner on him.
So Antonio is also the guy that made the hit at the goal line to knock the ball loose. Although Kelly ultimately recovered it. He's made a couple of plays here in the first half. Kelly now 9 carries, 27 yards, and the touch. He'll have the catch here out of the backfield, and immediately Nicholas Morrow was on him.
Yeah, and didn't finish it. And so, but he's there. He's right there on the coverage, but he's got to make that tackle. You can see he's going to come from inside out, good angle, takes away everything except doesn't wrap, and gets a little help from his friends to be able to get him out of bounds.
That was Dallin Levitt who came over to help, the undrafted free agent out of Utah State. 3rd and goal now for the Rams.
Really haven't had much pressure here today.
Raiders had 4 sacks in the opener against Detroit. Kelly cannot get away from Big Mo Hurst. Corralled him in the backfield. The rookie out of Michigan.
Good quickness on the inside. He looks like he drew the. He took the inside on an inside stunt.
That was good push again by P.J. Hall.
He always does.
Get quickly into the backfield. Well, the Raiders got to be thinking we'll have Khalil Mack on one side, Bruce Irvin on the other side, and a lot of options emerging inside for Oakland.
And that's really, when you look at the draft, and particularly taking players like P.J. Hall and Maurice Hurst, that they had to get better inside. The pass rush inside wasn't significant enough to help Mack and Irvin on the edges, and that's why they went out and drafted some bigger bodies inside that can be real difference makers with the pass rush as well.
Also re-signed Jelly Ellis. He's still in the mix. So the Raiders hold the Rams to the field goal attempt, and L.A. now with 13 points 10 points off of turnovers, 13 on the board, and we have reached the half at the Coliseum. Plenty to talk about for this Raiders offense shutout in the first half here in LA. A lot of guys making a push for a roster spot today in the Coliseum. Back here in LA at the Coliseum, 13-0, the Rams with the lead over the Raiders as we get set to start this third quarter. Defense called upon to make a couple of big stops. And the offense struggling a bit. The halftime statistics brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites. 0 for 6 on third down, just 58 total yards for the Raiders.
Yeah, just 22 plays of offense when you don't convert on third down. You don't keep drives alive, just 1 first down. So an ugly half of football offensively for the Raiders. We mentioned a lot of starters not in the lineup, Matt, but defensively I thought there were some good things.
I thought they actually played pretty well. He had a short field on him 3 times. They were able to hold up, giving up the 13 points. But other than that, they didn't rush the football on him. I thought they played good, solid man-to-man defense. They only gave up 80 yards of passing. So I think that was a good half of football for defense.
Yeah, they were putting, as you said, they were putting in some tight spots and did a nice job responding in some sudden change situations. But offensively, not what we come to expect from John Gruden. He's got to get a little more out of these quarterbacks. Look, I don't care if you've got a bunch of young players in there with you, a bunch of second and third line players. You've got to find a way to move the football, and that's what John Gruden wants to see out of Connor Cook and E.J. Manuel here in the second half.
You'd like to see him overcome at least one of those setbacks, like the bad snap or penalties, or you'd like to see him overcome at least one of them. They didn't overcome any of them.
Somebody's got to make a play.
Right.
That,
exactly.
It's what you say in the huddle. Somebody steps up and makes a play. Someone breaks a tackle. Someone makes a big catch. One of these quarterbacks makes somebody miss.
Yeah, no Derek Carr today, and the vast majority of the starters have not seen a whole lot of action. Both quarterbacks, E.J. Manuel and Connor Cook, both have fumbles from that first half.
I mean, think about it, Beth. The whole offensive line didn't play. The top 3 tight ends didn't play. Your top 3 or 4 receivers didn't play. Marshawn Lynch, Doug Martin didn't play. Keith Smith, your fullback, was out. So, I mean,
this guy didn't play either.
Yeah. He makes a little bit of a difference, don't you think? But again, we talked about it, a very, condensed game plan. Don't want to show a lot. You've got to play this team in a couple weeks. And we haven't seen a lot from the Rams either, in fairness. I mean, they've been very conservative as well with their approach. Not a lot of formation usage and personnel change-ups. I mean, it's been pretty boring football from a schematic standpoint.
Mike Nugent with the kickoff. He was hoping to see a little action. Eddie Pinheiro is out for today's game. And the touchback, Rams will
You talk about opportunities that, even Mike Nugent, he hasn't got a chance to kick. I mean, you look at how a game unfolds, and you drive the length of the field a couple times, you get a couple field goal attempts in the first half, you score some touchdowns, you get a couple of extra point attempts. He hasn't gotten any of that. That's frustrating for him. Here's a guy, a veteran player that's trying to make a football team, and he wants to get something on film as well.
So the Raiders are going to face another quarterback here. Looks like Brandon Allen, the youngster, coming on for the Rams. Daybreak number 74 is in the middle defensively for the Raiders. He's their new acquisition after the injury to Taba Rubin, put Rubin on the IR. So Gabe, the third-year man out of Miami, getting a chance to run right away.
Signed him up this week, put him in uniform, and send him out there.
Hey, you want to make a team? That's what you got to do. Get out there, get a little excitement, and make a couple plays.
Shiloh Luani, Dallin Levitt are the safeties right now, with Mitchell and Hamilton at the corner spots. The run a couple yards shy of the first down marker. We mentioned Dallin Levitt, a terrific story out of Utah State. Had a conversation with his wife, and he said, give me 2 weeks. That's all I'll take, 2 weeks to try and make a roster somewhere, and then I'll move on with my life. And I believe it was day 11 of the 14, as the story goes, that he got a call from the Raiders. And he said, honey, I'm going to give it a shot. out in the Bay Area. And East Bay with the Raiders fighting for a spot in that secondary. He's the deep man, not your screen. A lot of guys trying to keep that dream alive as long as possible. And from 90 guys down to that final roster of 53 after the final preseason game.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 91. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's Shalik Calhoun.
It's a shame because Luani had really nice coverage here. Takes this thing away and forces a bad throw.
Just gonna get him for a late hit on the quarterback. I mean, it's just
a nice move too.
Sometimes, Matt, these guys they go down, they flail around the ground, and these officials feel like it's a violent hit. I mean, but you can't. They're very cautious when it comes to these quarterbacks in the pocket. When I was playing,
did you see that kind of caution?
I don't want to bring up the curmudgeonly booth again, but
I wish I was still playing. If that's a foul.
My goodness, you kidding?
Nice. There's a good stick, and that was Luani coming up.
Nice, ran right through that. Then you create the lane, and that's his job. He's the free hitter. And so when he's that man and you create the lane, watch how this opens up. Just run right through him. Well done.
Good form tackle. Kept the head out of the tackle. Just watch this finish. Watch his head go to the left or the right shoulder of the runner.
Yeah, it's well done.
That could be on tape in terms of what you're looking for out of that position. Not lowering the head.
7th round pick last year out of Washington State. Made the team. Played in 16 games. And that's the reason why he's one of their harder hitters. They've got some pressure on the quarterback in the first sack. We'll go to Mo Hurst, the rookie out of Michigan.
And he should turn around and thank his Michigan State friend. Shalik Calhoun really made the play.
He came off the edge and forced the quarterback to step up right into the waiting arms of Mo Hurst. You see the edge, and then you're going to see the pressure up inside.
Yeah, there it is. He spins him around, and then Mo Hurst is able to get him.
Loss of 8 on the play. Well, that's got to excite Raider Nation when you think about Gunther and the different pressures that they can bring, the different looks they're going to show once the season starts.
3 rookies on this whole right side. You see that? You got Key, Hurst, and P.J. Hall.
And they're getting after Allen, who manages to dump it off to John Kelly. And Allen is slow to get up. Gain of 6. And the punting team will come on, but some more pressure on the quarterback for the Raiders.
Yeah, Shalik Calhoun again. That's a good series for him.
He's flashed, Matt. You know, you look at him even last week making a couple plays. Pretty good little pass rusher.
Haven't had a chance to get much going yet with the return game. Let's see if Switzer has a chance here. It is a short, wobbly punt. The Raiders have to get out of the way. Switzer will take it on a bounce. And he's got a lane. The flags are down, however, both in front of and behind the play. 13 yards on the return for Ryan.
I think they're going to get Keon Hatcher, but I thought it was a nice block by Hatcher. He did a nice job.
Tried to pull off a little bit.
Yep.
You're coming for your right side of your screen right there.
Yeah.
Boy. Good. He has one hand on the front breastplate.
And then the other flag came from in front of Switzer on the return.
There were 2 fouls during the play. During the return, illegal block in the back against the receiving team, number 14. That penalty is declined. During the kick, holding against the receiving team, number 57. That penalty is enforced. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
So the first one was Hatcher, the second one was Victor, and the result a setback for the Raiders, down 13-0 when we come back. Well, the Hollywood Hills looking down at us here at the LA Coliseum, 13-0. Rams over the Raiders early in this third quarter off of the penalty on the return. Oakland set back to their own 6-yard line. They've been called off the line of scrimmage, and now Connor Cook will get them reset. He's 4 for 7, 15 yards. Chris Warren working out of the backfield. And the pass incomplete around the 10-yard line, looking for Johnny Holton, who couldn't hold.
They're making the easy plays look difficult. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just a little hitch route. Quarterback and receiver can't get on the same page.
I'd like to see him get Aitman involved. He's number 88 at the top of your screen. Big 6'5" kid out of Oklahoma State. He's a good player.
A bunch will switch and then run Warren for 4 yards. Out to the 10. That'll bring up 3rd down and 6.
He's got a chance, I think, not only to make the team, but to be a contributor early. I mean, he's come in, he's picked up the system, and that's not an easy system to pick up for a young player with all the communication that goes on and all the shifts and motions and checks and responsibilities and audibles. It's a lot, and he has done a nice job processing the information.
Still looking for a 3rd down conversion. They've got another one here. Cook, incomplete.
Oh, he telegraphed that one. That time, yeah, that safety made the break before the ball ever came out of his hand.
Nate Holley got there almost at the same time as Hatcher did.
Yeah, he's looking the whole way.
And if you wait, you're late, and you're staring that one down, Matt, as you said. It's just this takes too long. This is a slant route. He's late getting to the receiver, but now you put the receiver in a compromising position. That's how guys get hurt.
Yeah,
you're late with your eyes.
6th 3 and out for the Raiders today. Townsend booms one out of his own end zone. And on the return, back out close to midfield is JoJo Natson. A return of 15 after the 54-yard Townsend punt. Been a lot of head shaking so far on the Raiders side. They're down 13-zip.
On the Raiders Broadcasting Network, the Raiders trail by a score of 13-0. I'm with tight end Jared Cook. How excited are you about this new look John Gruden offense?
I'm very excited, man. He's brought a new element to our team. He's definitely bringing the juice each and every day, and he's just making it fun for us to go out there and play ball.
A lot's been said about your leadership. Now back again with this team. How do you embrace the leadership role you now have in the locker room with so many new players?
You know, just kind of keep things moving forward, business as usual. It helps out a lot this year. We have a lot more vets on the team, and those guys become way more vocal leaders, and it makes my job easier because we have so many veterans that show guys how to do it the right way.
Former MVP Rich Gannon in the booth. Rich?
Jared, you led the team in receiving yards. You were 2nd in receptions last year. How is it the addition of players like Jordy Nelson and Martavis Bryant going to help you in the middle of the field?
It brings a new dynamic to our offense. It brings much more speed. It brings much more down the field stretch, and we all help each other by getting each other open on different complementary routes. So those guys run great routes to help get me open, and vice versa. I do the same to help those guys get open down the field.
Well, thank you very much, Jared. We appreciate it. Worth noting, by the way, of course, a former Ram, the first NFL tight end with 100-yard receiving games for 4 different teams. It's Oakland, St. Louis, Green Bay,
after the play,
and Tennessee.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 32, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Not smart. It was unnecessary. But great coverage, great job of making a tackle. Just you don't have to slam him.
You have to body slam him, Matt?
No, you don't. You didn't have to do that. I mean, if it was his wrestling, I'd give him 2 points.
Takedown.
A couple Pennsylvania guys up here in the booth would have appreciated that. on the mat, but not on the turf. The run again right up the middle. Nick Holley inside the 25. The Raiders, by the way, the penalties racked up last week. They now have 6 today for 66 yards.
And penalties, we talked about a little bit last week. You know, 200. Last year marked the 18th consecutive season with 100 or more penalties, setting an NFL record, and that's going to change under John Gruden. You know, he talks about discipline and structure, and Paul Guenther, and that's, you got to do a better job taking care of one another, taking care of yourself, just in terms of controlling your emotions, and sometimes those are the penalties you just can't tolerate.
Waggle.
Allen fakes the pitch. Calhoun trying to track him down, and he hooks up with Hodge for the first down grab.
Well, that was not an easy throw with Calhoun chasing him down. Impressive.
Well, Mitchell gets on his horse right about here. He sees it.
I don't think he gets both feet in. I'm not sure he got the other one in.
That was a gain of 10.
Yeah,
and there comes the challenge from John Gruden. Somebody upstairs here saw what you saw, Rich.
Well, Jerry Austin is part of this group with joining John.
Oakland is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed catch.
Former NFL referee, and
he was with Gruden for years in the Monday Night Football booth, and John appreciated him so much he brought him here to Oakland. They're going to look at it, and we'll be right back. All right, the review is complete, and they're going to let this stand as a catch.
They just watched the right heel. The heel touches down. What we were looking at in the booth was whether or not his left shin came down before that right heel. And it's really hard to tell as you see that right heel hit down in bounds.
So the Raiders lose the challenge and lose a timeout. They'll have 2 remaining. And the Rams will have it 1st and 10 from the 14. They'll run it with Holley and Calhoun. The good push to trip him up.
Yeah, he made some plays here. Shalik Calhoun brought his A game today.
We're having a difficult time blocking him at the point of attack. You just see him up the top of your screen. Let that right tackle just whiffs.
Yeah, and that's normally, as a defensive end, you don't want to do that. You don't want to jump back inside because a good tackle is going to kick his hips and force you back inside. But he made the play. If you take it, you better make it.
Shalik playing for one of those linebacker jobs. The pass incomplete. That was Nick Nelson who had the coverage. Excuse me, Hamilton.
You know, Hamilton got that penalty, but I think he's actually played pretty solid. Good coverage. I think the secondary's had good coverage all day.
The one thing I've noticed, not just this week, but last week as well, when they play man-to-man coverage, they're tighter in coverage. And that's one of the things that Paul Guenther said. You know, we've got to be better with our coverage. We've got to, you know, when we play man-to-man, we've got to be tighter. And I think they've done a much better job of making it some contested throws. And that's what you have to do when you play man-to-man.
Allen. Incomplete.
Yeah, it would have been anyway. He wouldn't be able to have the catch. See the official throw his hat off. That means he went out of bounds. And he didn't establish himself back in bounds. So good defense. That's what a good corner should do. Use the field, use the sideline as your help.
4th down, Sam Ficken will come on. That's Hamilton. And today we've seen those guys, Matt, respond to the challenge laid forth by Paul Guenther. You know, guys like Hamilton and Mario Edwards and Shalik Calhoun, you've been around now for 2 and 3 years. Are you going to make a push to be that #1 backup or get one of those starting jobs? Because they brought in a lot of other guys around him. Ficken's 35-yarder is good.
I think anytime you make a coaching change, I don't care who you are, there's competition. And, you know, even if you're Derek Carr, you want to compete. You know, you want to show this coaching staff that you earn their trust. And that's the best thing when you make a coaching change. Everybody has to earn a job.
Matt Miller's my name, and I'm from Penn State. Those turkeys on offense are creatures pitches I hate. I find him, I chase him, I break up their block, then I catch him, I hit him right out of their socks. Now defense wins games, it's clear as day, but offense gets headline and raises in pain. We wear the silver, we wear the black, we never retreat, we always attack.
Pretty good.
What the heck was that?
MC Matty Mill or
It's the original Eminem.
Millionaire? What was your?
The hick from Hakkendakwa. That's what that was.
I just want to know how much they paid him. That's back when Matt was a LA Hollywood type of guy. He had a big agent. He had a football agent, and then he had an endorsement agent and all that kind of stuff. Right?
He's called my wife.
LA.
Get your rear end out there and earn some money, you little.
LA changed you. It really did.
LA's fine, but it ain't home.
Coming straight out of Central Bucks, PA. Good times and some pretty productive years here at the LA Coliseum. It's 24 years since the Raiders were last here. They left and went back to Oakland in 1994. Look, Raider Nation is out strong. All those naked flagpoles up around the concourse, and somebody still managed to sneak a Raider flag up the pole there.
Yeah, they claimed it. They claimed it.
It is really impressive, though, to see the turnout from this is. I mean, preseason game down here in LA. It's hot. It's the middle of the day, and great turnout by Raider Nation.
There you go.
Wow, good looking run.
Chris Warren,
well blocked,
out across the 40, and a first down. Raiders, their second of the afternoon.
Well blocked, no flags. That's the way it should be.
And when you're struggling to find your rhythm, just hand it to the big guy.
Yeah. Nice job by Ware. See Silverman on the inside.
It's an attitude run.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. That's it. In preseason, I win. My guys are better than your guys. That's good.
Cook taking his time at the line. We'll try Warren again.
Wow, a powerful man.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if this is going to be the turning point of the season, but ever since the silver-tongued rapper down the end of our booth showed us his street cred, this is a different offensive unit for the Raiders.
It is. We got him fired up. Yeah.
You see the double team blocks. This is what I like about Warren. He always seems to be falling forward at the end of runs.
Yep.
9 rushes for 48 yards. He averaged almost 7 yards a carry last week against Detroit.
Best drive of the day so far for the Raiders, and it's more Warren, and he's got another first down. So,
all right, Rich. So you come to the line of scrimmage, and you're the quarterback, and you're looking at the front, and you're gonna stay. You want to stay in a run, or you want to get out of what you call in the huddle. You're going to call something at the line of scrimmage. How do you account for numbers? What are you looking at?
Yeah, so you want to make sure you have numbers. You don't want to be one short. They've got tools in their toolbox, as John Gruden would say, to make sure that we run away from the down safety matter, we run away from the overload, or we run to the 3 technique, the reduced side, or the guard bubble. Sometimes we're getting these balance sets. We have a tight end on either side, and so you can really run and kind of pick your spot.
Cook underneath, the ball squirted free. They're going to rule it an incomplete pass. It was to Saeed Blacknall.
So I would do the same thing to you when you come to the line of scrimmage. Yes. So I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at how we're set up. So I want to anticipate where you want to get to. And so I know you're always going to try to gain a man, or you're going to run to the weaker side. And so that would be one of the things that I could use in my toolbox. And then you guys start running all these counters, and I used to want to just choke you.
But the other thing, and I think we're not going to see it today, but we will see it week 1, is this hurry up, no huddle.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're going to jump the ball, and they're really going to dictate the tempo and pace with which they play.
That makes a big difference.
Cook's got his man, Paul Butler, another first down. Close to the 20-yard line. Looks like they shoved him out around the 23, and a gain of 23. So Butler had the 24-yard catch last week. And a nice one here.
Yeah, and a crossing route underneath against the zone. They run and pick the top of it out. Just fill the void.
Good throw by Connor Cook.
And just to button up what you guys are talking about, I think Raider Nation very excited to see what kind of tempo they will be playing at. And a premium now on the time, right, that a quarterback has post-huddle at the line to survey what's in front of him. Cook almost tipped. Juracek with the catch, and close to another first down.
Once they start to go to no huddle and a hurry-up offense, it eliminates a big menu of what you can do defensively, because you have to be able. You're dealing with a short time frame. You have to be able to get everything communicated. You have to get everybody on the same page. And so your list of what you're running really is coming from the middle. Well, for us, we used to just run it from middle backer all the time.
The Raiders are in the Toyota red zone. Toyota, let's go places. 1st and 10, just outside the 10. Warren burrowing his way down to the 2.
This offensive line has played much better this series, and it's really started up inside. Feliciano's done a nice job. You look at the right guard, that's a wash. And that makes it easy for Chris Warren to get up on the second level.
Nice job by Silverman also on the right side.
With Boucher and Jordan Simmons. 1st and goal, more of Chris Warren. Touchdown Raiders.
To walk in.
And the pro Raider crowd reacts here in the Coliseum in LA. They're going to go for 2, it looks like.
They're just winning the battle up front in the trenches. It's good to see.
9 plays, 75 yards in 4.5 minutes. A lot of that the work of Chris Warren on the ground.
I don't know, Matt. Give it to him again. I mean, with the movement they're getting up front, why not?
Fumble on the exchange. They're going to try and throw it to Juracek. It's batted in the air. And Cook may have caught that.
Well, that was ugly. Well, it starts with a bad exchange from the center and the quarterback. Connor Cook never, as you see, he comes out, he gets stepped on. He drops the football, he picks it up, it gets batted, and now he catches it and gets tackled.
Well,
not a good sequence.
out there too, yeah.
You're right, Beth. They had the look they wanted. They had the eligible receiver in the flat, and Connor Cook just wasn't able to get a grip on the ball.
But as you guys referenced, the one encouraging thing that they may be able to take away from that drive, you're starting to see now through camp and these first couple of games, John Feliciano, Ian Silberman are guys that are making themselves very valuable as backups along that front line that can, because of their versatility at a lot of different spots.
That's the biggest thing. So you can play both tackles, you can play inside guards, you can play center. I mean, anytime you have the versatility, position versatility, chances are your chances of making the team are going up.
The drive of the game brought to you by Mazda. Feel alive. And a touchdown drive for the Raiders. They're down 16-6. Chris Warren looked good in the first preseason game, looking good here in the second half for Oakland. As the special teamers run Natson out of bounds. Brandon Allen will return at quarterback here for the Rams. And a lot of those same guys back out for the Raiders defense. Azim Victor, Jason Kabinda, a couple of the rookies at the linebacker spots.
Well, that Rams right offensive tackle was struggling here in that first series. And Shalik Calhoun took advantage of him.
He's back in there, Matt. 64.
Yeah, 64, yep.
Denby.
Jamil Denby.
Rookie from Maine.
The Black Bear, Matt.
Yeah, that's right.
The Black Bear. See, I know that because I played against Maine, so you would know that, Matt. At Penn State, you were playing against Alabama and Florida State, and you know. But see, if you went to Delaware like I did, you know, you play against Maine and BU, Boston University.
Did you beat them?
UConn. Oh yeah, we.
That's all that matters.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
We took care of Maine.
We crushed them.
Maine, Matt only knows Maine as a dorm on campus, I think.
That's right.
That's on every campus. the streak through town. Lafayette College grad Beth Mowins, Penn Stater Matt Millen, fighting Blue Hen from Newark, right?
Yes.
Rich Gannon, yeah.
We all took different paths to get here.
Yes.
But we all have roots in Pennsylvania.
Nice use of roots.
Roots. We got good roots.
Eating our Utz potato chips.
Heck, Harris down there. 25 for the Raiders, a safety.
He worked at the Utz factory.
Yes, he did.
Along with his mother. Great story.
Yeah.
Allen stepping up. Tank Carradine got him from one side, Kabinda from the other.
A bit of a gap. See him pull it down, and you see all these players in black shirts. You see their eyes light up. When you see a quarterback run, you know, when I ran, I always looked for a small number, Beth. See, I didn't want to. I didn't want him to run into like these 50 numbers or these 70 numbers. I looked for like 20 numbers. I thought I was safe if I found someone with a 20 number. They're more my size. I stay away from the guys with like 50 numbers. And, you know what I mean, man? I wasn't the best player. I was a smart player.
Yeah, you were a talented player. Those legs of yours could move.
That's just good math.
Yeah, just avoid the big numbers. When they hit you, I tell young quarterbacks this all the time. They're trained assassins. And again, they're trying to play within the rules. But when a big man hits you, you don't have to see it. You can hear it.
Oh, yeah, you can
feel it.
Yep.
You mean a guy like Tony Siragusa who wouldn't appreciate what that's like?
That didn't feel good.
Yeah.
The goose.
Change that rule now. You can no longer kind of implode through the quarterback as he goes to the ground. It's a point of emphasis this year for NFL officials. They need to return. Sometimes when you're struggling on offense, a big play in the kicking game can kind of get you jump-started offensively. Use a big return here.
He's Griff Whalen.
Oh, bad punt.
Or a bad kick.
They're not going to get a chance here as that goes out of bounds.
Heck, the team doctor for the Rams couldn't even catch it. What the heck's wrong with them? We got to work with it.
Hey, they're going to get some good field position out of it. There's a change for the Raiders. Just a 27-yard punt will set up Oakland at the 39-yard line for E.J. Manuel, who will come back in at quarterback.
E.J.'s got to do something. You know, it's didn't really get a great opportunity last week. He had the turnover again today. He's got to clean that up. This is an opportunity to do something good here with this drive.
Not a bad looking offensive line either. He's just pretty good.
Now in his 6th year, the former first-round pick out of Florida State, who was a starter for a while in Buffalo, was the backup last year in front of Connor Cook, and actually played a couple of games, got a start when Derek Carr was hurt out with the back injury. But it would appear at this point, although the coaches have talked about the battle continues, that Connor Cook is getting the nod.
Yeah, you know, when you look at E.J. Manuel, when he first came out at Florida State, he wasn't ready to play. And to make matters worse, he went to a team that wasn't ready for a young quarterback. And that's part of the problem. And you go there and you struggle a little bit, you lose your confidence, you bounce around, and now he's in the process of learning a new system, and a difficult one at that. Wow, look at
Warren, gaping hole for Chris, down inside the 45, a gain of 13. 13 carries, 73 yards now for Chris. And that'll take care of the 3rd quarter. Raiders moving it much better in this second half. They get a touch on the board. And they're trying to move it again, trailing the Rams 16-6. Back here on the Raiders television network, 16-6. LA leading Oakland, but the Raiders are on the move again. And how about that last run for Warren?
I'll tell you that the job that they're doing up front and moving people off the ball. Just watch this gaping hole. I mean, this is a hole that any back could run through, and you see him clean up the left side, they're cutting off the back side, and next thing you know, he's up on the safety. And that's just, the runs to the left side have been very effective here in the second half for Greg Olson, John Gruden, and this Raiders offense.
Warren's already got 1 touchdown on his 13 carries for 77 yards. So 2 solid performances for the undrafted rookie out of Texas who was playing H-back and tight end for the Longhorns last year. But the coaches really love his physicality. He's going to get caught here and thrown for a loss.
Yeah, that's where you don't want to put him. You don't want to get him on the outside edge. He's not a speed guy. He's more of a one-cut downhill guy. The previous play, what you saw, that's what you'd like to do. So what the Rams did, which was smart, is they dropped down to double reduce to the inside and closed off almost like a bear look in the middle, where your both guards and center are covered. And now you're going to have to run outside.
Play action for E.J. Manuel.
He's got him.
He's going for it. Incomplete. Could not hook up with Keon Hatcher.
Hatcher needed to keep on running. He slowed down, was looking back for the ball. Just keep running. E.J. Manuel's got plenty of arm to make this throw. And I like the fact that E.J. Manuel gives him a chance to make a play down the field. Got to keep running. Right here, he starts to coast a little bit. Now he picks it up.
Yeah.
Can't change gears on the quarterback. Can't change speeds.
And a timeout going to be taken by the Raiders. They lost a challenge earlier.
Their second and a half.
So they will have the 1 remaining. Just underway here in the 4th quarter. Raiders trying to get some more points up on their return to the Coliseum.
About a minute into the 4th quarter here. Rams and Sean McVay on top of the Raiders, 16-6 in the booth. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Siciliano. That down there is Peter Schrager. This is Nate Burleson. I was joking before that Nate's an MC in his free time.
Okay.
You gonna rap?
Yeah, all right. I got a little something. Listen,
third down for us?
I'm all in on the squad. I don't trip on the haters. I'm looking at the crowd. I see the Rams and Raiders. You got Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. The Rams is coming. What you going to do? A little something light.
I like it.
I like that.
I thought Schrager was going to give you a beatbox there. On 3rd down, E.J. Manuel hit as he throws, ball up in the air and falls incomplete, but there is a flag down near the 20. Again, the Rams bring in the rush there, and Manuel had to get rid of it. Micah Kaiser in there.
I like that. This defense starting to step up. If you look at that 3rd quarter, the Raiders put up about 90+ yards, and that Rams offense just 42 yards in that 3rd quarter alone. So Rams D starting to tighten up like it did in the first half.
Before the pass, illegal contact, defense number 33, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Man, you hate that. They get Curtis Michael for illegal contact down the field. That truly had, in all likelihood, nothing to do with the outcome of the play.
He was busy listening to Burleson's rap.
Obviously. Obviously.
No, you hate to see that because now the drive is alive again. And say what you want. You want to win these games.
Rams certainly do. Up 16-6. Defense has played well today. Need to finish it 4th quarter by playing well. Chris Warren again.
This guy.
Look out. He's a machine. Laguda rides it out near the 15.
Just trying to figure out what type of vehicle he reminds me of. That is like a durable off-road SUV. Once he gets his momentum, he's hard to stop. But you got to see the gaps that they create these lanes for. A guy like that, big boy running. Shout out to Laguda, though. Took him up high, wasn't afraid. Said, you coming with it, I'm going to come with it, too.
Gain of 23. Puts him in the red zone here, 16-yard line. That's what the Rams defense can do.
Here we go, single high safety.
Crowd's into it.
Gotta love it. Rams, Raiders had some movement. No flag. Now there's the flag. And he's going to take a seat. He's going to get thrown down by Amarius Bryant. Manuel doesn't like that. There is a flag again, and that play was blown dead. Bryant might not have heard it with the crowd getting loud.
There was no play before the snaps. False starts. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
John Feliciano. John Feliciano. Of course it's John Feliciano. So can I explain what just happened there? So I looked down, and for some reason, Feliciano was written out phonetically by the computer here.
Game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 13:35. The clock will start with my ready for play signals.
Of course I know how to say Feliciano. It rhymes with Siciliano. Of course. But yeah, I looked at it, it was phonetic, and then you sound it out, and I sound like a moron.
You wouldn't be rapping about that, Andrew.
No, I don't.
Well, that's not the first time you sound like a moron.
Okay.
Well, hello, Nate.
Well, hello.
Wow. Maybe I won't come by your show next week.
I love you, Drew.
Seventh penalty, 71 yards. Chris Warren again running strong over the left side. That's the first time today we've called out McKay Murphy, the rookie defensive tackle. With the tackle, gain of 6, McKay Murphy, son of should be in the Hall of Fame Dale Murphy.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yes.
Good. I'm looking at Warren. Okay, so we say, okay, that's Warren, and everyone at home is watching for fantasy football and saying, I got to pick up this guy. Preseason, he is 5th on the depth chart. He is still 5th on the depth chart. Marshawn Lynch is there, Doug Martin, Jalen Richard, and DeAndre Washington. So this guy's having a showcase. Might not necessarily even make the active roster, but that's what the preseason is. These guys can make household names for themselves in games that might not even matter.
He has 100 yards on the ground. Manuel flushed out, throws, sideline. That's a nice catch. That's Isaac Whitney, the former Trojan. Not much of a gain, but it's a nice catch on the sideline.
Nice catch on the sideline, little toe drag swag. But Peter, to your point, though, some of these guys that might not make the roster and get put on practice squad, you know, there's that brief moment where other teams can pluck them right off the practice squad. So, like I said, every day's a resume. And for Isaac Whitney, he's trying to build his resume. He's been in the league for a couple years now. He wants to make an impact because that's another group of wide receivers that are loaded when it comes to the Raiders. But here we are, condensed formation. E.J. Manuel, what are you going to do?
He just passed the 6 for a first down. Manuel tall in the pocket, lofting over the middle, but behind and incomplete. He wanted his tight end, 88. No, it's Marcel Aitman's a wide receiver. Yeah. He just looks like a tight end and is technically listed on the Raiders roster as a tight end. But he was a wide receiver at Oklahoma State with James Washington, the other one who's a rookie with the Steelers.
You know, I love that last play defensively. They set back and they're communicating as you're seeing crossers going in and out of the really intermediate area. You look at the Rams defense, even though they're young, they're out there pointing the fingers, letting everybody know where the players are.
The veteran Mike Nugent, picked last year with the Cowboys and the Bucs. Mike Nugent nails the field goal after a 9-play drive, stalls in the red zone. Rams defense does its job. Once it gets serious, 16-9, 11:58 to go.
Tim Brown on the 3, out to the 10, the 15, accelerate. Purdy up the field, the 40. He's past the kicker at the 50. He's on the way. He's going to go the distance all the way. Holy Toledo.
That was September 4th, 1988. The very first touch in the NFL for the rookie Tim Brown, who the Raiders picked with the number 6 overall pick in the draft that year, from Heisman Trophy winner to Hall of Famer. And it all started with the Raiders right here at the LA Coliseum.
Was in the wedge for, which they don't allow anymore, but I was in the wedge for 12 years, and I had 3 great returners. Ira Matthews went to the Pro Bowl. Greg Pruitt, phenomenal. We got Greg Pruitt, and then Tim Brown. And all of them went to the Pro Bowl, and all of them made a big impact every time that ball was put a little excitement into the kickoff.
I think all 3 of them could score every time I touched the ball, man.
Phenomenal.
You know what I mean? I was blessed to play with Tim Brown, and even at that point in his career, he was still a great punt returner and could also return kicks. And probably one of the smartest players I've ever played with, and maybe the best hands of any receiver I ever played with.
And good toughness. Really good toughness.
Raiders D is back in there, and the interception for James Cowser. And he returns it to the 21-yard line. He had a strip sack against Detroit in the preseason opener, and now the interception, and he takes it 14 yards the other way.
And you're going to look at Cowser right in the middle of your defense, and it just drops it. Actually, he's on the backside.
He was walked out.
He was walked out over the slot.
Yeah.
There he is. Really nice job reading the eyes of the quarterback the entire way.
Nice job by Cowser, but poorly done by the quarterback.
Manuel gives to Warren, and a flag down again as Warren gets to the 15. Raiders were trying to hold the edge for him.
Holding offense, number 71, 10-yard penalty, remains first half.
They did hold the edge. That was the problem.
That's the 4th holding penalty on the Raiders. Yep. 8 now penalties total on the day.
These red zone penalties are devastating. It's hard to call plays in this part of the field when you're first and 20.
So now somebody's got to make a play right here, Rich. And if you could get half of it back here, you're in good shape.
Couple of receivers to the right, including Marcel Aitman. And he's looking for his tight end, incomplete to Pharaoh Brown. Good coverage by Holly.
Not a good enough throw, Beth, by the quarterback, E.J. Manuel. We talk about location, location, location. It's critical. You've got a receiver running across the formation. You've got to throw it out in front of him. You can't put it on his back shoulder and expect him to make that catch.
Six for 10, 46 yards today for E.J. Back to throw again. And it's Marcus Baugh. They get just a few of the yards back. It's going to bring up 3rd and long. They need to get all the way down to the 11-yard line.
Just haven't been any explosive,
nothing.
Big explosive plays have come from Chris Warren in the running game. Nothing really to talk about in the passing game, which is really a surprise.
Blacknall to the right, Whalen and Aitman to the left. Manuel. Incomplete, broken up, and a flag down. Multiple flags now around Marcus Baugh.
Ball's thrown behind him again.
Boy, Griff Whalen was wide open on the slot on the other side.
Personal foul, lowering the head and initiating contact, defense number 31. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the new helmet rule, and the penalty against Torian Nixon to keep the Raider drive alive.
He's coming in from outside, and
I don't know about that.
Kind of looked like he led with his forearm, Matt, not so much the helmet.
Warren going to try and churn it out on the ground. Some yards after contact to the 10-yard line. And is that a flag thrown on the far side?
I don't see any.
Nope. Second down at the 10. Manuel looking for Whalen, reaching behind him to make the catch, and into the end zone, touchdown. What a play by Whalen.
That's a great catch, Rich.
Really was. It was not a great throw, Matt, but a terrific adjustment to a ball that was behind him, and great concentration by Griff Whalen. I mean, look at that. That is a tough catch, and now he's going to get hit as he crosses the goal line, but great concentration by the slot receiver. Look at that. And that's well done by Griff Whalen.
Raiders have already tried for 2 once. They failed on that attempt. They'll try again. And now John Gruden's running all the way down the sideline to call the timeout. John getting on his horse, rambling down to the 10-yard line to call that in time.
You don't know if he had a change of mind in terms of the play, or he didn't like the formation or what he saw from the defense, but he was quick to get down there.
E.J. Manuel hooking up with Griff Whalen for the touchdown, and the Raiders are down a point. just a moment ago. Here's the two-point conversion. The handoff to Chris Warren, and he is denied. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And the Rams maintain the lead, 16-15.
Rich, I actually like the call there. I like that Coach Gruden is like, all right, let's see what this offensive line's got. Let's see what this kid's got here now. And let's see if we're playing as well as I think we're playing. And he got his answer.
Matson.
Good coverage.
Shoved out of bounds around the 22. So the Raiders now trailing 16-0. Put together 3 straight scoring drives to make this a one-point game, and a heck of a catch by Griff Whalen for the touchdown.
And really the improvement that we've seen in the second half has been the play of the offensive line, in particular the running game and the running of Chris Warren, which has been, I think, one of the biggest stories to come out of training camp through the first 2 games of the season. I mean, he has run the ball well. He looks like he can handle a lot of the workload, and I think he's getting better in the passing game.
And I think the other guy who's saying, hey, don't forget me, is Griff Whalen.
Yeah.
He plays like that all the time. You watched him in practice up at training camp, he'd do the same thing.
9-yard pickup there for the Rams. Let's send it down now to JT.
Thanks, Beth. Corner Rashawn Melvin joins us. Great to see you out there with Garyon Connolly. Talk about your play and your communication with him out on the field.
Man, it's great to see him back out on the football field. You know, he worked extremely hard to get back from injury, and every time he's on the football field, his presence is felt. You know, like I said, we want to come out today and really cone in and communicate and get that feeling of playing with each other out there on the football field.
Tell us about your dream of becoming a Raider.
You know what, man? Before 2013 NFL draft, I had one dream, and the dream was playing for the Oakland Raiders. You know, and I took a different route to go to Tampa first, and 6 years later, I'm an Oakland Raider. You know, this tradition here, the staple in the NFL, the Hall of Famers that this organization have had, it's incredible to me. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
One of the legends up in the booth is Matt Millen. Matt?
Yeah, excellent corner play on the outside, particularly early. What I really like what you guys are doing, tight coverage today, but getting your hands on the receivers to me is the biggest key.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime that you can disrupt the receiver from getting to his route, it gives the line the opportunity to get to the quarterback. You know, it goes hand to hand. And we kind of cone in on that today, is getting hands on these guys and making it tough and letting our pass rush get to the quarterback.
Nicely done, Rashawn. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you.
3rd and 2 right here for the Raider defense. And wide open at midfield. Krager Coble, the tight end, rumbling down to the 25-yard line. 35 yards on that strike.
Well, he's wide open. I don't know what happened there.
Did you see the coverage? I didn't see the coverage.
It just looked like they blew the coverage. They're just going to run the corner route. They turn him loose.
They just dropped him.
The safety's late to get over.
Yeah, he dropped his coverage.
A bit of a communication breakdown, maybe.
Yeah. Was man, looks like Mauger was the one who would have messed it up.
12-minute formation defense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Well, we'll harken back to what Paul Gunther told us last week. Priority number 1 to get ready for the new season was better communication. And we've seen a couple of breakdowns right there for a defense that looked pretty good in that first half and has continued throughout the 3rd quarter, and now here in the 4th a little shaky. Penalties, yep. Second week in a row they've been an issue. 1st and 5 inside the 30. The give is to Kelly. He's got a hole up the middle, and a first down. Dallin Levitt's being called upon right now to make a lot of tackles out of that deep safety spot.
Yeah, you don't want your safety leading the team in tackles. That's always a bad sign. Any of the secondary guys, you want your middle backer and your backers to be the ones who are leading the way.
.13 on that game, so 1st and 10. And the rollout And the throw incomplete. That was Shakir Soto, the second-year man out of Pittsburgh in pursuit.
They've tried that play a number of times today, and it really just hasn't worked. The Raiders have done a nice job preparing for it and having answers for the quarterback movement plays, the boots, the nakeds off of play action.
Allen out of the gun on second down. Kelly, patient, and corralled. Azim Victor, the 6th-round pick out of Washington, with the tackle.
Well, now here we get the third down. Third down, somebody's got to make a play. Last series, Cowser made a play with that pick. I'll see if somebody up front can make a play or in the secondary.
Four-man pressure, Allen to the end zone, incomplete. Hamilton had the coverage on Stephen Mitchell. And it's 4th down.
Mitchell had a step on him. The quarterback just didn't give him a chance to make a play. Brandon Allen, you've got to give him a chance up top. Little double move, he's got him beat.
Yeah, he did.
And he just throws the ball out of bounds. Good little route there by Mitchell.
And then Mitchell covers his eyes. He knew he had his man beat. Ficken, who's already hit from 35, will attempt from 32 to add to the Ram lead. And it's good. 5:45 to play. And a 19-15 Rams lead. So a chance here for the Raiders to provide some late game magic. Looks like E.J. Manuel chomping at the bit to head back out with the Raider O. They have scored on their last 3 possessions.
Well, it's going to take more than a field goal, and obviously John Gruden and E.J. Manuel know that. A little bit better here in the second half offensively. We talked about the play of the offensive line. E.J. Manuel, my overall assessment of him today, just the accuracy has to improve throwing the ball from the pocket. You know, he's been a little bit erratic with his location on some throws, and just the pace sometimes of some of his throws and those crossing routes. And that's an area of his game where he has to continue to improve. You see the numbers, 8 of 12, 61 yards, and the touchdown throw to Griff Whalen. Good look at Tom Cable. Tom Cable will help John Gruden with some of the run calls. He's very good in that area, and John will lean on him at times to ask him for his input in terms of what he likes with some of the running game. That's important. When you think about a play caller, you need help. You need help from your assistant up in the booth. You need help from your offensive line coach.
Well, your perspective's different as a play caller, and as a position coach, your perspective's again different, and you have a feel for your players, more feel for your players. So a lot of times that helps.
Whalen chased out of the back of the end zone. And so the Raiders will come out.
You know, just watching this game plan, it's foreign to me. You know, it's hard to. It's not what I'm accustomed to seeing. Matt mentioned it early at the top of the broadcast. It's going to be very vanilla. That's just what it's been.
Yeah.
I mean, neither team wants to show their hand. Very conservative approach. Very limited personnel groupings and formations. Not a lot of motions and shifts. Not a lot of audibles from the quarterback. It's kind of call it and run it, and let's see what we can do.
75 yards away. Incomplete on the first throw.
We talk about a drive starter. You're looking for positive play there, and we talked about the location on throws. You know, not making the easy throws look difficult. And for a right-handed quarterback, that little flat route to the left is one where you have to make sure you square your shoulders and make sure that your feet are in alignment, and that wasn't the case there for E.J. Manuel.
2nd and 10. The pitch to Warren. Tucking that ball in tight up against his bicep. Picks up a few. Ramon Richards with the tackle.
And they're 3rd and manageable here. The clock is still at 5:30, so you're going to have to punt it if you don't get it here. But you'd like to be at least 3rd and 5 and less here in 3rd down.
They're looking at 3rd and 7. They need the 35-yard line for the first down.
Yeah, and the receivers have to know where the sticks are, and so does the quarterback.
Manuel with time and the first down. Marcel Aitman.
Good catch, too.
The rookie.
Good coverage.
Out of Oklahoma State. 25 yards.
This Aitman kid's interesting to me because it looks like he always, I think the knock on him was his speed, but he always runs just fast enough. Guys are covering on him, but he comes down with catches, he makes plays, and he's fast enough.
And the comments that came out of the quarterback room when you talk about Aitman is that he makes the contested catch. And you love his size. He's 6'4", he's 215 pounds, and he can work in the middle of the field. Guys made a lot of contested catches from all 3 quarterbacks during training camp. And that's what they like about Aitman.
Got a timeout called here by the Rams. You start counting receivers, guys. You're looking at Amari Cooper, Jordy Nelson, Martavis Bryant, right? There's your top 3. Seth Roberts has the experience, but he hasn't been playing much in this preseason. You've got Switzer and Whalen, a lot of similarities between these two, including their ability to play special teams. And Aitman kind of stands out as somebody a little different with that kind of size.
Yeah, you like that. And then he also, you look at Dwayne Harris, he's a good returner. So
yep.
Beth, you bring up a great point. The return, the special teams part of it is a big factor. Who's going to be the returner this year for the Raiders? And not only returner, but when you look at a player like Dwayne Harris, he's a pretty good cover. He's a pretty good cover guy when you look at the punt coverage and kickoff coverage.
Whalen. Catch made at the 45, a pickup of a couple.
The one thing about Griff Whalen from a quarterback's perspective is he won't fool you. And what I mean by that is you can read his body language. He gets his depth. He's a pretty precise route runner. And from a quarterback's perspective, there's some confidence with that, knowing that he's going to do the right thing in a critical situation. If you don't trust the receiver,
I was going to say that.
Bad things happen. Yep. A little indecision will kill you.
Missed him.
Manuel trying to air it out, overthrows a couple of guys down there.
Had him on the outside. He was trying to go for Whalen in the slot, and he had the outside
Hatcher.
Yep.
Good look at the protection. Yeah, nice job there, and good pocket for E.J. Manuel. See the corner outside. He's going to jump the number 2 inside, and as a quarterback, you have to feel that corner. His technique outside, playing both the outside receiver and the inside receiver in the slot.
3rd down.
Comes the blitz. Never saw it.
And Manuel taken down. The pressure right up the middle for the Rams. And it's 4th down.
Yeah, not good awareness there, Rich.
It's a 6-man pressure, and you're going to see out here. But watch the middle linebacker. He times it up pretty good. They just don't pass it off. You see the left guards trying to kick the center over, and they just don't communicate that. And E.J. Manuel is surprised. There's a wasted opportunity there for the Raiders.
And the clock's going to tick down probably below 3 minutes here. Natson going to give it a go. Flag down. This will be a penalty against the Rams on the return. 45 yards on the punt from Townsend. Cody McElroy is the guilty party.
Good look at Sean McVay and talk a little bit about the job that he has done. And it's been an impressive turnaround. He surged from the bottom to the top of the league in points scored.
During the return, number 47. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. First out from the spot of the foul.
Took over the worst scoring team in football, and they were the best. They were the top scoring team in football just 1 year. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Good play caller. You know, there's a lot of coaches out there that have worked with John Gruden. Sean Payton down in New Orleans. You look at Sean McVay. These guys have similar philosophies and coaching styles. John, the great thing about John, he's been willing to share. I think that's the sign of a good head coach. He's been willing to share his knowledge with other young coaches in the profession.
Well, he knows what that was like, right? Hired by Al Davis when he was just 34 years old.
You got to convince Al Davis to hire him, you know, and you know, that was a unique relationship. And, you know, Al Davis was willing to give young coaches opportunities. You know, I think about Art Shell and, you know, Tom Flores, a former player, and
John Madden was the youngest coach in the league. Yeah,
how about it? You know, and the other thing about Al Davis was he former players that had played for him. He wanted to give them opportunities within the organization, whether it be coaching or in personnel.
Art Shell,
Fred Blitnikoff, Willie Brown.
They're going to have to snap before the 2-minute warning, so that could give the Raiders a break since they are out of timeouts.
They'll stop the clock.
No, it's going against the Raiders. It's going against Gabe Wright, it looks like.
Personal foul, face mask, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first out.
A costly one against the Raiders, who are out of timeouts. And we have reached the 2-minute warning in a 4-point game. Now the play of the game is brought to you by Xfinity, and it's E.J. Manuel to Griff Whalen, reaching behind his head to make the catch and work his way into the end zone, a 10-yard touchdown.
Well, you love a player that can go inside. It's a different world in there when you try and cover players like Griff Whalen and Ryan Switzer. All these quarterbacks love those slot receivers who know how to get open in space.
Well, the penalty for the Raiders, their 10th of the game, right before the 2-minute warning when they had the clock stopped, and now no way to stop it.
Yeah, over 100 yards and penalties again today, and that's got to get cleaned up because that was a problem last week in the win over Detroit.
Well, there's no question they still have a lot of work to do, and I think John, he knows that anyway. But there were some positives that came out of this thing. You know, you got some. Whalen ended up having himself a nice couple of catches and a nice game, and Warren had himself 107 yards and a touchdown. So the offensive line, I thought, in the second half played better. The first half was abysmal, but they got better. So we'll see. They'll have their opportunity here in 3 weeks because they're going to play them for real on Monday night.
That's going to be a great. That's going to be a great game. You just look at, you know, both teams. You know, the Rams, Todd Gurley led the league yards from scrimmage. You look at Jared Goff. He had an outstanding sophomore campaign. We haven't really talked a lot about Wade Phillips today, but one of the better defensive coordinators in football. He's had a track record of success over 40 years, Matt, as a defensive coordinator. New Orleans, Philadelphia, Denver, Buffalo, Atlanta, San Diego, Houston, Denver. The Rams, everywhere he's been, their defenses have played well.
That's what I never understand, because his defenses always play well, and then he's there for a few years and he's gone.
Well, then the head coach gets fired, and you know, that's kind of what's happened when you look at Wade Phillips.
Not a lot of the starters played this week, so maybe we'll see Marshawn Lynch and a few others when the Raiders return home next week to play Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.